I've been running my businesses for over a decade now. And lately, I've been sitting with this question a lot. If I had a chance to start over from scratch, like seriously, just start from zero, what would I actually do differently? And it's not because I regret things, it's more like I've learned a lot along the way. Some of the things easy, but honestly, most of the things I've not learned the easy way. It's very much been learning things the hard way. I look back at some of the decisions I made, some of the habits I built, and some of the things I never did, and I can see really clearly now how much they cost me, as much as that's a bummer. But like, truly, time, money, energy, relationships. And at the time, I thought I was doing the right things. I thought I was being smart about it. I felt good, even though I might have felt lost or confused. And so in this video, it's just me being honest with you about what I would go back and do differently. Not a highlight reel, not lessons wrapped up in a bow, just the real stuff. And here's what I would actually do. If I were starting over, the first thing I would do is build rhythms. Because sleepless nights, the working all the time, it might feel exciting in the moment. And honestly, when you're first building something, it kind of is. There's this energy that's hard to describe that you don't want to stop. You want to keep going. But looking back, now that I can see things in hindsight, it's exhausting. And it takes away from the things that matter most. For me, my family, my friends, the people that mattered to me, the life I'm actually trying to build the business around. And I'm not saying that excitement isn't real or it's not good. Please don't hear that. But I just don't think the grind is as necessarily as we make it out to be. We all think we have to grind so hard in the beginning, and there's hard work to be done. But healthy rhythms are more important. They keep you on track, they keep you energized, they keep you building momentum, even in the seasons where it doesn't feel like anything is happening. And rest is one of the most important things you can do in business. I genuinely believe that rest is so important when it comes to rhythms because rest fuels the times when you are working. It's what makes the hard pushes sustainable instead of just destructive. And here's the thing, most people never actually build rhythms at all. They just keep going until they can't anymore, until they're burnt out or exhausted or their relationships are suffering. And they try to figure out balance from that place, which is so much harder because now you're not building something healthy from scratch. You're trying to repair something that's already broken. It's so tough. Like, it's hard for me to even talk about because I've been there. I get it. And if I had to be honest with myself from the beginning about what I actually needed to sustain this, not just what I needed to get through this week, I think everything would have been built a little healthier. The decisions, the creativity, the way I showed up for clients, all of it would have been in a much better spot. The second thing I would do differently is say no to the wrong clients way earlier. And I know how that can sound because when leads are coming in, the last thing you want to do is turn one away. Every inquiry feels like momentum, and you tell yourself you can make it work. You tell yourself any revenue is good revenue. And I told myself that a lot, but it's not always the case. Because the clients that I said yes to when I probably shouldn't have, they didn't just cost me money, they cost me time, they cost me energy, they cost me so much, right? And a little bit of confidence every single time because you pour yourself into each and every project. And then when it's not a good fit, it's draining in a way that the right clients never are. The right clients just seem to be fulfilling. They energize you. The wrong clients take it away from you. And when you're running on empty, you do worse work. And when you do worse work, you feel worse about yourself. So it's a cycle that compounds in every direction, and you really don't know which way to go. But if I started over, I would get honest with myself about who I actually want to work with because it's so important to know who you want to serve and how you are serving them. And I would hold that line even when it's uncomfortable, even when I wasn't sure when the next inquiry was coming. I think I would just go back and say, Austin, it's going to be okay. Because saying no to the wrong client is really just saying yes to leaving room for the right ones. The third thing I would change is how I thought about marketing. For a long time, I thought marketing was about visibility, getting in front of more people, growing the numbers. And so I chase that. And there's a piece of that, right? Like awareness matters so much. People have to know that you exist. But I was really trying to reach, and it was all about reach. But the actual revenue in my business, the money that has really moved the needle, has almost never come from people who followed me. Not in like a mass following type of way. It comes from people who knew me, from people who trusted me, from depth in relationships with me, or someone that they sent my way because there was already trust there, right? And referrals matter so much. So I wasted a lot of time and energy chasing an audience when I should have just been deepening relationships, I think. And if I started over, I would spend the first year doing almost nothing except building genuine connections with people, most likely to either hire me or refer someone to me. Fewer conversations, but better ones, right? Like following up more thoughtfully, not just trying to do things quickly or trying to grow that reach. I want to invest in being someone, being somebody's person, and being someone's go-to business rather than just, hey, I'm out here in the world. I don't want to be someone that they just scroll past and never think about again. Followers are great. Don't get me wrong. Again, you need awareness, but a client who sends you referrals and 2 to 3 a year or more because they just love you is more than 1,000 people watching your content or looking at you on social media. It goes so much further. And I wish I had been honest about that a lot earlier, or maybe just knew it, because I don't know if honesty is even the right thing to say here. I feel like I just wish I would have known this earlier. The fourth thing I would do differently is get honest about money way earlier. And I don't mean making more of it or anything like that. I'm actually looking at it really knowing where I was. That's what I mean. Because for a long time, I was kind of afraid to do that. So I kept rough number in my head and told myself I'd get more organized when things settled down, and that worked okay. It worked okay when things were small. But as the business grew, that approach really started to hurt me and really stress me out. I didn't know my actual numbers. I didn't know my margins. I didn't know which services were working or which were actually making me money or which were just like secretly eating at things. I didn't know what the business actually cost to run every month. And when you don't know those things, you make decisions based on feelings, and it can be destructive. You keep offering something because it seems like people want it, not because it's actually moving things forward or good for your business. And as much as we want to serve clients or be good people, you're running a business. And if it's got to sustain your family, you've got to make sure that it's the numbers add up, right? So if I started over, I would sit down in the very beginning, the very first month, and get clear on what I needed to survive. Like what do I need to make? And what do I need to then to feel stable? And then to know what I was actually working towards. And I would look at those numbers every single month and not just when something fell off. Revenue is not the same as profit, and busy is not the same as growing, and you can't navigate towards something you're not measuring. The last one is a little more personal for me. For a long time, I ran my business on the skills I already had and the instincts I had developed, and those got me pretty far. But there were moments, a lot of moments, honestly, where I hit a ceiling, where I felt stuck, and I didn't really know why. And instead of investing in figuring it out, I would just push through or wait or tell myself it would sort itself out. And it usually does, but slowly and expensively. It's the hard way, right? Looking back, the seasons where my business grew the most were always the seasons where I was learning the most. When I was around people who were further ahead than me, when I was reading or in a course or paying someone who knew something I didn't. Having coaches and having people to speak into me was so important. If I started over, I would treat learning as a real line item in my budget from day one. It's so hard to make time for that, but like it is so important. And it's not something I do when things are going well and I have extra money is the problem. It's like one of those things that you do when things are hard and bad and you feel like you need help. But the reality is, as a business owner, it should be a non negotiable. We should want help and success every step of the way, even when things are good. Because honestly, the best investment I've ever made in my business has always been in becoming better at running it, investing in me, investing in my team, investing in the business as a whole, because that's what gets you somewhere in the long run. So if I'm being really honest about all of it, I would build rhythms that actually protected my life, not just my output. I would get clear on who I want to work with and hold that line. I would invest in real relationships instead of chasing visibility. And I would look at the numbers and actually know them. And I would invest in learning way earlier than I did because it took me too long to figure that out. None of this is super complicated, but none of it's easy either because it all requires you to be honest with yourself before you feel ready to be. I think that's the hardest thing as a business owner is like we have to be so honest with ourselves. We have to know ourselves super well because when we're disconnected from that, we get disconnected from everything else. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's not that we don't know what we need to do, it's that we keep waiting for a better moment to do it. And that moment doesn't just show up on its own. You have to kind of create those moments. You have to know when it's time for that moment. And if any of this resonated, drop a comment. I'd love to hear what you would go back and do differently. Whether you're a year in or 10 years in, I read every single comment or every single email. And if you want more of these honest conversations about what building a business actually looks like, subscribe. That's what we do here, right? So I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the journey, my friend.